originally wanted to make a video about this guy, Oliver Anthony, because something about his overnight success rubs me the wrong way. And I've talked frequently about, in the past, about characters who are obviously being astroturfed by the media. What is astroturfing? That's a term I use all the time. And it seems to, at least for people who don't think too much about it, so I think it's communicating fairly, is that it's about somebody who's fake. Well, what astroturf means is the opposite of a grassroots success, that it's fake grass, that this person has been pumped up. And what do you call it? The example I like to use is this largely forgotten channel called Janelle Eliana, one of this black girl who's doing like van life shit about like how you can live without owning a house and shit, and all her videos were overly well produced, and she seemed like an actor. And if you look at her social blade, you can tell that the vast majority of her like 10 million subscribers are fucking botted. You can see where the organic success, and then you can see one day that an exact number of 400,000 or 500,000 or 250,000 subscribers were dumped in. After extensive research on Oliver Anthony, I can find no such astroturfing yet. Now, astroturfing can also come from media reporting on somebody, but can't really see where media reporting on this guy is who made him. It really seemed to have gone naturally viral. So why would I think he might be a milkshake duck? What is a milkshake duck? It's a progressive term that basically means somebody who gets famous for one thing and then is shown to be a hypocrite, that they have something in their past that goes counter to why you know them or support them. And I can't necessarily pin him down on that either. I tried to find any evidence that he's not actually from, what do you call it, a kind of low class background. And some people say, well, he can't be legitimate because he doesn't have a southern accent, which is kind of weird, but he is from West Virginia. And that he grew up on a farm that's like a big farm. So a lot of people think, well, hey, if you own like 100 acres of land, you're wealthy. No, depends entirely on what they were growing. If it was like subsidized tobacco crop or some bullshit like that, maybe. But most farmers own shit tons of land and they are quite poor. Because selling commodities and trying to farm and dealing with everything from weather to bullshit regulation to, fuckery from other farms and everybody being scared of GMOs and bullshit like that. No, having a shitload of farmland probably more likely than not means you are low class and that you have very little wealth and power. So I can't find anything on him from there. So what else do we have to go on but his own political statements? And those are, like many overnight sensation conservative artists, for lack of a better word, very vacuous and don't mean much. It's just the elites are a problem. And of course, the milkshake duck idea comes from the fact that when he was asked why Republicans who are interested in trying to politically, whether they're genuine about it or not, and I think most Republicans are not genuine about trying to help the grassroots level people, that's at least their platform, that's at least the way they market themselves, right? And there are a lot of Republican politicians who are going, I really like this song. This is indicative of the way I'm marketing myself to my constituents. I want to use it. And he objected, saying, well, the rich men north of Richmond you're the people I'm singing about. Well, what? Are the rich men north of Richmond just everybody in Washington, D.C.? Well, that apparently seems to be what he means. But that doesn't mean anything, and that doesn't go anywhere. I am constantly annoyed by these overnight right-wing conservative or lower class or whatever you want to call them, icons that kind of prop up out of nowhere saying elites are bad. Well, yeah, okay. How are elites bad? What exactly are they doing? Well, Oliver Anthony at least has some of that. He mentioned how porn is a major problem. Yep. Mentioned how tax money is strangling the nation in that they spend it on stupid bullshit. Yep. He said that people are being, welfare subsidized, getting fat and just destroying themselves on taxpayer money instead of getting a fucking job. Yeah, kind of based, right? So why does he keep rubbing me the wrong way? The more you try to pin this guy down about what he actually believes and what he's actually trying to say, you find out that he's part of this very vacuous, meaningless thing that is really I feel, if not Oliver Anthony himself, the concept that Oliver Anthony represents is very astroturfed. It's oh, we're all being polarized by these elites who don't really care about us, and we need to band together. We're not going to, and banding together is, in my opinion, nowhere near the fucking solution. I mean, it is eventually, but I don't think that's the way the solution's going to come about. See, the problem is, yes, it is true that, yes, the elites don't care about us and they financially take advantage of us, and they are all criminals. And Republicans are every fucking bit as guilty in terms of that kind of financial abuse, the military industrial complex, setting up the budget to constantly fail the American citizen at every level and only advantage the wealthiest 1%. That is true. But that's not the whole story. And if Oliver Anthony knew anything about, like, say, where fast food titans and their subsidies come from and the effects they actually cause, he might be more of a Democrat. If he knew where the plague or pornography came from on this country, who's responsible for that, and why they're doing it, his politics would be a lot more like mine. But he doesn't know what he's talking about. And what I'm seeing is, if there is some kind of sinister ulterior motive behind the success of people like Oliver Anthony, you're seeing what I call the deliberate design to try to put everybody in a centrist box where they actually do not polarize. There's actually an actual concerted effort in this country to reverse the polarization that has come in the Trump era. And it's polarization that I support. In my personal opinion, I would rather have people going all in, getting very politically interested, and getting very politically vocal about being communists and socialists and Trotskyists and progressives. And I want them out there saying their stupid, insane, sinister bullshit, so that it is easily identifiable and easily discussed as to why it's fucking wrong, why it's evil, why it's harmful. I would rather have them out there and trying to, identifying themselves essentially for political discussion terms as an enemy combatant. I would like to know who these people are. And I would also prefer anyone who is not so susceptible to that kind of thinking to think like me. And I do not think like your average conservative at all. I don't even think like 95% of conservatives at all. I am not a conservative. I am a different kind of right wing. I am a more genuine kind of right wing that is being successfully eliminated across Europe, across North America, across the entire white Western world. And that the only place where there is even a semblance of that actual right wing nationalist mentality left is in America. And then you see these guys who keep coming up, and they market themselves directly to the disaffected right, patriotic nationalist right in this country, but their message is not that. Their message is centrism. And I just want to close this video, and I might even make it the thumbnail for this video. I probably can't. But if you ever want to hit me up on Discord or something, I'll show it to you, because it's got too many cuss words and slurs and shit on it. But I made one of those, a two-dimensional four-quadrant, political compasses. And I based it on one that said, over here, the top left is the good guys, and then everyone just around this little corner here is the right wing, and then everybody else is Nazis. And then there's the centrist gray square in the middle, right? So I identified how I didn't agree with anybody on the left, and how some of them are horrible people who I think need to be, dealt with in a more severe way. And then, a bunch of them are just idiots and politically illiterate and cringe enablers. And I even had a significant amount of the right wing identified in a similar fashion. And then, I had, the libertarians as people I most closely identified with on this compass, even though my position isn't actually on this compass. And then there's the kind of evangelicon, socially conservative right, who I considered uptight, but people I could generally align with. But out of all the horrible things I said about everybody in all these quadrants, the thing I had for the gray square, the center, we need to come together and stop being polarized and stop arguing and stop fighting each other. Do you know what I wrote for the gray square thing when I replaced what it said instead of Nazis with what I said? It says insufferable and pretentious cocksuckers. Centrists are the kind of people who wander into a heated political discussion where people who actually know what their position is and can argue it somewhat intelligibly and say, stop arguing. You're both equally cringe as each other. Stop talking about it. Centrists, I've made entire videos on centrists that they only exist to come in and garble what's actually going on, to confuse people about what the actual issues are and why we should care about them, let alone what we should do about them. And just say, oh, I'm just against exploitation. I'm just against taxation. I'm just against, obviously, the politics. There's something seriously wrong there, but I can't identify what it is or what to do about it. I just, want to, give people a voice. And all his fans say, oh, he resonates with us. Yeah, he resonates with you not having any idea what the fuck you're talking about and having no direction with what you want to be done. You're just saying, I'm angry and I'm glad other people are angry. I'm glad that people are getting shown on the mainstream and having great success and being shown to everybody else so that everybody else is angry. Great. Are you going to go any further than that? Are you going to get politically interested and act? Are you going to learn history? Are you going to learn how the financial sector is taken advantage of? Are you going to learn about government subsidies? Are you going to learn about the shit the progressives write that you should care about, like district redistricting and redlining, and how basically the reason why you can make no change in politics is if the demographics of a district, a voter district, start to change. They redraw it so it stays the same level of blue or red that it was before, so that no change can actually happen. Are you interested in any of that shit? Do you know about any of that shit? Is any of that shit in your messaging? Oh, are you just saying, I'm mad and you're mad too and we can be mad together, give me money? Fuck off. So whether or not this guy is genuine or astroturfed, he's ultimately fucking pointless either way. So yeah, I couldn't identify any kind of sinister manufacturedness to his history. I could find none. I am convinced that is the source of his success, but it is not, at least in the few hours of research I've done on him, easily traceable, and there's no solid evidence to support that conclusion at all. He just smells fishy as fuck. His messaging, while at least better than a complete normie baseline stop talking about it opinion, is so vacuous, empty, and literally directionless, pointless, that I don't believe it serves any positive purpose at all. And therefore, I don't want to identify with Oliver Anthony. I don't want anybody to say he represents me, because if he represents you, you're an idiot and you're completely just, you know nothing. Your entire position is completely unintelligent. It's directionless. It comes from nowhere and it goes nowhere. It's just, I'm mad. Well, great. Everybody's mad. Literally everybody on the political fucking compass is angry. And what my messaging is to people, what I am trying to do with my channel, is tell you that your solution is not on that compass and your solution is not present in any candidate for public office, or at least, at the very least, for federal public office. There is nothing in national politics that is good. So in conclusion, I suppose it's not so harmful to say that if the rich men north of Richmond are literally all politicians, he's not exactly wrong. But why is it them? And what should we do instead? Well, he has nothing to say on that subject. But I do.